The Origins of Fast Food by Ellie, Sanjna, and Christina. Fast food has become a ubiquitous part of life in America. Mascots such as Ronald McDonald and Colonel Sanders, as well as specific food options such as French fries and the Big Mac, have become embedded in American pop culture. One cannot step onto a large street without seeing at least one fast food restaurant. Similarly, one cannot escape fast food advertisements. Our video will be covering the contextualization of fast food, beginning with its conception in America and ending with where it is now. Since we will be doing contextualization, we will touch on the who, what, where, when, why, and how of fast food. What is fast food? Fast food is food meant to be served quickly and cheaply. Typically, fast food is very high in sugar, calories, and fat. A lot of typical fast food restaurants serve burgers, fries, shakes, pizza, chicken nuggets, and other greasy and fried foods. Even many salads at fast food places, which are advertised to be healthier, have fried chicken and high-fat dressings. This infographic shows what happens to the human body an hour after eating a Big Mac from McDonald's. How did fast food develop? Industrialization led to the development of the assembly line, which was later applied to food. This process allows food to be made on a massive scale. Additionally, this process isn't labor-intensive and does not require a lot of skill specialization. After the advertisements, we will now be going in-depth and exploring the origins of fast food.
The Fry Step, starring Ronald McDonald and Friends.
If you hop all around like the Fry Kids do, you're doing the Fry Step. It's fun for you. Fry girls, Fry guys. You'll hop all around like the Fry Kids do, and you go where your nose will lead you to.
French fries.
McDonald's French fries.
It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Let's get back to it. What's this?
No one saw that. Doesn't count.
Choose your deals from the King Savings menu, only at Burger King.
Who's the king now?
Ancient fast food. Fast food, in a sense, had existed since ancient times. One of the most prominent examples were ancient Roman fast food joints known as thermopolia. The word itself translates to places where hot drinks are sold. Although these were not modern fast food restaurants, they bear many resemblances to what we recognize as fast food today. Many of these restaurants were small, with some sporting small dining areas. However, the primary function was to sell takeout food that citizens could eat on the go. As you can see here, these stores had countertops with jars embedded within them. These jars were used to store dried and cold foods that could be distributed to customers or heated up. A type of fish sauce known as garum, which is the predecessor to today's ketchup, was also included in some of the meals. These thermopiles were everywhere, with Pompeii having around 150 of them. Similar to today, some look down on these restaurants as low quality. Fast food in the Middle Ages. Medieval Europe had many of the same conditions that made fast food possible in Rome. There were many urban centers, and within these cities, many people lived in single-room living quarters, and less than 5% of people had kitchens. As a result, these people had to rely on food that was cheap, readily available, and either designed to be consumed immediately or last for a while. Because of this, flour was the base of many prepared foods, which included pies, hot cakes, pancakes, and wafers, which were often sold hot. Similar to in Rome, These restaurants had a reputation for having greedy cooks, dirty cooking places, as well as low-quality food. Common complaints included bakers that overcharged for food, stale bread, and spoiled meat.
New, the French toast sandwich. Egg, meat, cheese, mapley bread. Can't wait for that sweet thing. Wake up the king.
American food in the 1800s. At the start of the century, cities in America had few public restaurants and many families prepared food at home. However, by the end of the century, restaurants had become an essential part of cities. Around this time, the average commute began to take longer, and urban workers stopped going home for lunch. As such, they had to rely on other sources for food, which often consisted of hot meals being served by their offices and factories. This was a time of great change within the country, as the Industrial Revolution had just begun, and America began to urbanize as a whole. Cities began to have higher populations of people, and a growing number of people were immigrants. Street vendors began to offer German pretzels and sausages, Chinese rock candy, and tamales, which would go on to become San Francisco's most famous street food by the 1880s. The start of fast food as we know it. The first fast food restaurant. The first fast food restaurant in the U.S. was a White Castle founded by Billy Ingram in Wichita, Kansas in 1921. The design of the original White Castle was inspired by the Water Tower building in Chicago. By 1924, Ingram would expand the chain to Omaha and Kansas City, and it would later grow to what it is today. The history of American fast food as we know it was intertwined with another industry that was also caused by the Industrial Revolution, the automobile. Curb service, where an employee delivers food from the restaurant to customers waiting in their cars, first started as a novelty at an A&W root beer shop in the 1920s. However, it began to become popular due to its convenience and comfort for the customer. By the 40s, some restaurants had employees who wore roller skates to speed up service. This would eventually develop into today's drive-thrus. The American Dream. In many ways, the creation of fast food restaurants was a reflection of the American entrepreneurial spirit. Many of the founders of these restaurants were looking for ways to make their own companies and earn money for themselves, and fast food had become the perfect way to do so. They incorporated ideas that had been popularized during the Industrial Revolution, including the increased production of goods, increased efficiency, which included faster service, reduced average cost, and the general quickening of all things related to the company in general. However, they also began to incorporate new marketing strategies. Standardized menus, highly recognizable logos, and unified advertising all allow these companies to grow to massive sizes. Standardized food options between restaurants throughout the country allow for maximum convenience for the customer, who will always know exactly what to expect, no matter what site they are at. The logos and advertisements of many of these companies were also extremely recognizable. The invention of the TV and much later the internet would provide new platforms for these companies to reach potential customers. These companies also began to direct advertising at certain demographics, which included children. Families was an important part of the American culture at the time, and going to a fast food restaurant began to be seen as a fun and affordable family excursion.
Jalapeno chicken fries make a relationship hot.
It's got this great crunch.
So crunchy.
And there's just
juicy. Oh.
Are you talking about the chicken fry?
Jalapeno chicken fries. The crispy chicken fries you love, now with a zesty jalapeno kick. Only at Burger King.
New, the double crust sandwich. Egg and meat and cheese and meat and cheese. That's right. The double crust sandwich. Wake up with the king.
McDonald's. Even though White Castle was the first fast food restaurant, McDonald's is arguably the first restaurant that comes to mind when thinking of fast food, or even American food in general. As such, we will be taking a deep dive into the history of the company that is now seen as the face of fast food. McDonald's was founded in 1940 by brothers Mac and Dick McDonald in San Bernardino, California. It was originally mainly a BBQ restaurant, but in 1948, the brothers decided to specialize in hamburgers, which were their most profitable menu item. In 1954, salesman Ray Kroc visited the restaurant and was highly impressed by its efficiency, and the brothers would appoint him to run the San Bernardino restaurant. A year later, he opened his own restaurant in Chicago, marking the beginning of the McDonald's Corporation. He would then go on to develop the company's motto in 1957, which states that McDonald's was a restaurant that could offer quality service, cleanliness, and value, reflecting the overarching goal to serve the customer. In 1961, he bought all the rights to the franchise from the brothers.
Okay, everybody ready to get your picture taken?
To celebrate cheeseburger time at McDonald's, Ronald was taking pictures of all his friends.
Okay, now smile and say cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger!
Very good. Here's a cheeseburger for you. Hey, who's next? Susie. All set? Okay, smile and say
Cheeseburger!
very good. Here's a cheeseburger for you. You know McDonald's cheeseburgers are so delicious you almost have to smile.
Ahoy! How about a cheeseburger for me?
Oh no, Captain Crook, not till you learn to smile.
Oh, really? Watch this. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger!
He did it! Yeah! If you want something to smile about, just say cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Ronald McDonald in
And warm it, hot and warm it. On a cold, cold day, it feels so neat to clap your hands together and feel the beat. Hamburgers, french fries, hot for you. McDonald's and warm it.
It's fun to do.
It's a good time for the great taste.
It doesn't mean a lot if you don't get it hot.
On McDonald's.
Globalization of fast food, McDonaldization. Today, McDonald's is the most famous fast food retail chain, with restaurants within all 50 states. In addition, there are around 31,000 McDonald's in 119 countries around the world, serving 58 million customers a day. McDonald's is one among many of the companies that actively seek global markets as a multinational corporation. The globalization of these restaurants can be described through four key aspects: efficiency, predictability, calculability, and control through the use of technology. These companies have evolved to utilize all of their resources and systems to produce results within the shortest amount of time, predict the optimal areas to place a restaurant, offer standard predictable food options that are the same everywhere, and give the customer optimal control over what they want. In many of these restaurants, the customer orders their own food, takes it to their table, and cleans up after themselves, minimizing the role of waiters and shortening the time taken in total. The spread of American fast food corporations around the world is also a reflection of the increasing dominance of American culture over the past century, which in turn was caused by the chaos in Europe during the World Wars.
Ronald McDonald in Good Morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you. The sun's shining brightly. The day is brand new. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. The sky's never been so incredibly blue. Your best friends and breakfast are waiting there for you. McDonald's, Ronald and you.
Good morning.
We're America's favorite, #1.
Where else could you have so much fun?
There's just one place you can go where it's fun to eat and talk and laugh and still get some change back. We're sparkling at McDonald's, taking pride in what we do. That's why 11 million times a day we get to say thank you. Fast, fresh, always fun.
Thanks for making us #1.
We did it together. McDonald's and you.
Here's Ronald McDonald in a whole new ballgame.
Oh my, what a baseball game! Ronald's warming up. The chicken winds up. The captain signals, here's the pitch. Ronald swings. It's a fly ball. Ronald circles the bases. This is so exciting. Hamburglar fires the ball back. Ronald slides. The pitcher gets the ball, and Ronald's safe at home.
It's a good time for the great taste.
You won! I always knew it was in the bag.
McDonald's.
Fast food abroad. Since the early 1970s, American fast food franchises have ventured into international markets as a result of increasing globalization. As such, fast food companies such as McDonald's and Subway have made a name for themselves abroad. There are 16,196 Subways, 21,914 McDonald's, 15,029 KFCs, and 7,246 Burger Kings outside the US. These are only a few out of many examples of restaurants that have become so successful due to how they embrace and engage customers in different cultures. Many of these restaurants offer the same American food options as well as adapted menus that offer ingredients that meet the preferences of the local consumers, which allow them to build a loyal customer base. For example, Domino's offers curry pizza in India, tuna toppings in Japan, and prawns on top of pizza in Australia. In addition, the traditional American experience is offered side by side on the menu. Although McDonald's was built on the principles of predictability and standardization, they have also offered specialized burgers for different cultural palates. Fast food companies have also changed portion sizes to adjust to the local diet. Besides adjusting the food options, fast food companies have also sponsored and supported local communities and charitable organizations to establish their brand and build a good name for themselves.
I'm eating a croissant sandwich made with 100% butter.
A croissant wish with 100% butter.
Oh, the way she said it was a lot prettier.
Made with 100% butter, it's the new croissant sandwich. Get two for just $4, only at Burger King.
Ethnic fast food. In a parallel process, many fast food companies within the US have changed to offer a mixed cuisine, combining foreign and American tastes. A new phenomenon that has cropped up in the most recent century was the beginning of ethnic food options in America. As more and more people began to immigrate to America, they brought their own traditional diets with them. Over the years, these food options have seeped their way into fast food companies, with some restaurants such as Taco Bell, Chipotle, Panda Express, and Noodles & Company becoming famous for offering an alternative to the normal American fast food menu. Chinese takeout in general has even made its way into fast food culture. Oftentimes, these companies offer food that is far from authentic and instead offer something entirely new, an Americanized version that is adapted to fit American tastes. Fast food controversy. In recent times, opinions surrounding the fast food industry have changed tremendously. Some new criticisms include negative health effects of the food itself, horrendous conditions for the animals used to supply the food, as well as poor treatment of workers. Today, most fast food companies offer food high in sugar, sodium, cholesterol, and saturated fats, which cause many diseases, among which include heart disease and diabetes. Awareness over a growing obesity epidemic has led to a greater number of studies that show a strong correlation between diet and overall health. This has sparked outrage over the industry as a whole, especially as advertising is still targeted towards children. Some restaurants have begun to offer healthier options, such as salads, in response. The recent environmentalism movement has also led to more concern over the food industry as a whole. Activists have protested against poor farm conditions, which include small cages that limit movement, crowded and dirty cages, and overuse of antibiotics to combat all the diseases that crop up. The ideas of human rights, minimum wage, and standard working conditions have led to awareness over the employees of fast food companies. Many of these restaurants pay minimum wage and have less than ideal working conditions. As a result, fast food companies have acquired a less than stellar reputation over the past few years.